All right, y'all. My blog today is about kind of an element of independent filmmaking and writing, right? I like to stay writing as much as I learn other aspects of filmmaking, kind of storytelling and all that. I like to, or book publishing. I like to stick with my first love, which is story creating and writing. So I'm approaching my next movie, which would be my fifth movie, and I don't know what it's going to be. Right? I have an idea. I want to do these shorts. That's one that I do. I have a few that I want to I'm choosing from. And this fourth movie was a really good example of thinking about what movie you want to do and calculating, because I don't know if when it comes out next year how it's going to be received, but in terms of what it looks like right now, golly, it was really a good thing. The production of it was so smooth and worked so fluid, right? So everything from the cinematographer and the editor that I chose to all of the actors, it really worked, So I'm thinking of this fifth movie with some of the same energy, putting a lot of thought, not necessarily into the story per se, but the production of it and the totalitarian, how do I say that? The entire project. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking of the whole project, not necessarily as a story. So thinking of it as a project, right? Now I'm thinking, all right, let's look at some locations. I was on locations today, and one question came up. Do I want to write the script and then find a location that fits the script? Now, this fourth movie, I did it like that. But, I was thinking about doing another movie before this movie, and it was a challenge to find a location that I felt was right for it. And I decided to do a different story because of challenges with the location. Now, why is that so important for a low budget, let's just say micro budget filmmaker? Because in all stories, your location is a default cast member. Okay, your location adds to the picture. It is your background setting, and it can either give life, hell, or it can take away life to your characters and to your story. So looking for the right location for your story is critical. It's really, all the way down to what kind of car you need. Maybe not the color of the car, but what type of car, what type of house, what type of things like that. What type of apartment, what type of field, what type of grass, what kind of sky is going to be behind it. Is it convenient? Then you have the physical demographics of it. Is it convenient for your cast? Is it convenient for your microphone if you're shooting out in location? Is it a convenient time of the year if you're going to shoot outside? So your location becomes critical, right? When people say, oh, we shot this in this location because of this time of the year, that's important. It's relevant to the story, and it's convenient for the production. So you have one element that is the projection of the location. That is, does it look good? Will it work with the story? And how will it look on film? Then you have the other element, is how much does it cost? Does it fit the budget? Does it fit with our time frame? You know what I'm saying? Does it, how much will we have to spend to make it look like the way we want it to look? How are the people to work with? What are their hours? When can we shoot it? all of those other elements come into play. So I'm wondering, should I find a location first that's workable based around the theme of the story, and then write the story after I find the location? Or do I find a location for one of 4 stories, right? I have a couple of stories that I want to do, and then I say, so based on which one I find a location first, then should I do that story? And I'm leaning towards that, and I've never really thought about it like that before. I told my man Raphael, I was like, yo, I can write a story, no matter what, in 2-3 days, a week. A low budget story ain't that big of a deal. You just think of a location and you write a story around a central location. That is beautiful, but when you go to make the story, shoot, you gotta find a feasible location. I remember going back to the Death Pledge. That was one of the stories. I said, I can easily write a story about, kids in the cemetery and find a African, serial killer buried there. Yeah. I thought that was no big deal until I started looking for a location, and, it might have taken me a month, looking once on the weekends and, online trying to look for places. But ultimately, we visited about 4 places, maybe more than that weren't ideal until we found the park, and the park became ideal, and it actually impacted the story because the fact that a hurricane knocked over these gravestones and revealed that there was a cemetery there became part of the script, and then that it was in a park also became part of the script, and those things were part of the influence of the location. So the location I chose had me revise the script around the location. And so that's the same thing that I'm thinking now. Why don't I just let it do it 100% and have a story? Right now I have a story that takes place in a jail, and it's so funny. I'm going back to stories that I pitched to other people. I remember pitching this story to Jeff Clanagan of Code Black, the big company. It's a big company now, but when I pitched it to him, Code Black was just doing comic specials for Blockbuster. So they was giving everybody their comedy special, and he was putting it in Blockbuster. And then that graduated, and now he's doing it with Netflix, but he's also doing original pictures now. So I had pitched a picture to him, and I don't think it got his interest. Of course it didn't, because we didn't work on it. And I might have had a notebook full of stories, because I was running off the top of my head, finding my identity in true Jeff Carroll form. I had a book of I'm saying 10, but it might have been 15 stories, paragraphs, synopsises of each story, so somebody say, hey, what do I want? I'll be like, hey, this is what we got, what you think? And so I hit him with a story, and he was like, I guess he wasn't interested, but I remember me telling him about it. And, wow, big accident in the street. I remember him, me telling him, and now I'm thinking, let me make this movie and show him that I made a movie that I had talked to him about. I don't know. Sometimes it feels good to be like, ha, I made this movie that you passed on. But, I ain't making millions of dollars off any of these movies. So, at the end of the day, he may say, I ain't want to make $1,000 on a movie anyway. So, take your little $1,000 movie and keep it moving. But, either whether I take it back to him or not, it's definitely a movie that came to my head, and I was starting to finish the story and kind of outlining it, and that is one of the places that has a real specific location. It takes place in a prison, I can tell you that much. And I was thinking, dang, how can I, do that story. And so I was looking, and I found a couple of places that have jail cells and prison environments. So I'm thinking, you know what, maybe I should go visit one of these places. And I only have a story idea. Let me see if I can write a story around their location. You know what I'm saying? What I did with this last movie is I found a location that we could use a lot of the scenes for. And it was really a miracle. But what we did was tailor our expectations for the story based around the locational variation. So there was variations in the location, and I just went with the flow. So if it was exactly what I wanted in the script, I was fine with it and just let it go. However, it did not require me, none of the changes really required me to change the script. So that was beautiful. It's just what I visualized wasn't totally what I got in my location. But as a micro-budget filmmaker, you got to be that flexible. Now, the movie came out stellar. I love it. It's a gripping movie. It's a thriller, and I'm fine with it. But it was really interesting, the locations and how the locations impact on the script and the production and the whole quality of the project. Because if the locations were like, pow, you know, and so easy, you know what I'm saying? So, each project I get something different from it. Maybe other projects have been actors and wardrobe awareness, things that I was reminded of about wardrobe. This project I got to, do more directing, but location made it so much easier for everything to work. And I guess for volume filmmakers like myself who are doing a lot of films, who plan to do a lot of films and not just work on one benchmark film, we're going to learn a lot as we make. I'm a learn on the job person, so I'm learning from my own films. It's just real interesting. So I don't know, but yeah, I'm thinking about that, finding the location first and then writing the script after I find the location. And also the flexibility of the location will have an impact on me selecting which film I will do next. So I just wanted to throw that out. Again, I'm all over the place. These blogs are organic. It's not no list of things that I want to talk about on the beginning of the year. These are all things that I think about, that I'm going through as a filmmaker and a writer, and I just feel like talking about them, and I find some information that I can extract from what I'm going through in some form of a unique opinion to make it interesting and beneficial for other people. So that's it. All right, I'm out of here. Peace.